Yeah, well, we've got a consistent message, and our message is to thank them and thank them for all the love, the support in good moments, in bad moments. They've been there for us, singing, chanting, even after games. They've been there for us. Using the Tuck Stadium comes as a very, very good opportunity for us to create an ambience that will reflect the type of season that we've had, a celebratory sort of atmosphere. Because of its compactness and its size, we hope and encourage the fans to come in their numbers to give us support. I think you guys said the tickets are 40 Rand, if I'm not mistaken. So ours is just to encourage them to allow our heroes to spend the last home game with them, you know, and spend it with a very good atmosphere and a special ambience. The way Mamelodi Sundowns fans are able to create, only them can create that type of ambience.
Playing your last game, home game, in your home, obviously, but then the most important one being the one where the boys will be hoisting the trophy, but it's done away. Isn't it about time we find ways of saying, if Club A, Club B, or Club C gets to win the trophy, eventually their home match will be at their home ground. Their last match will be at their home ground.
Well, I understand your thinking, and it is a thinking that probably supports or is in the spirit of football, in the sense that you probably get then to celebrate your achievements over the season with your people. But I think that would be a bit difficult also because the fixtures come out way in advance, and for schedule and planning processes, I think the way it is done at the moment is probably the best way because of all the other logistics and the mitigating factors that come in and around scheduling for fixtures. The securing of stadiums is number one, because not any of the 16 clubs own a stadium. So that means that stadiums are available for many other purposes. And to book stadiums in advance allows football clubs to be able to plan and prepare for the season in a way that you probably try to move away from postponements and unavailability of fields and security and the like. So it's a huge process that goes behind hosting games, and I think the way it is being done at the moment, with a block fixture for the entire season being automatically generated by the computer and the software that they use, I think is the right way. And unfortunately, because that is how it is done, you then cannot preempt at the beginning of the season who will win the league title. Because if you could, then you maybe then would manipulate the fixture at the end. But unfortunately, at this time, I think, although your suggestion is very valid and is in the spirit of football, but it might be very, very difficult for the PSL to conduct it that way. Yeah.
You win the league weeks before. Ideally, I know you're not in charge of this, your last home game, would you want it to be the one where you're given the trophy in front of your fans to celebrate, rather than away from home in the final?
Well, it's okay. I hear you, and there is some form of, as I said even to Titi, there is some form of credibility to your suggestion, and particularly because, as you said, probably the biggest factor then is when the league has been won, maybe that manipulation of the fixtures in that sense. But the reality also is that if you are a club like Mamelodi Sundowns and having a fan base that is extensive, You also, okay, of course, it doesn't give you the same sort of feeling as celebrating it at home. But sometimes, like the Bible says, I shall create a table for you in the presence of your enemies. And sometimes the presence of your enemies is not within your house, you know. So to celebrate it sometimes outside of your home probably gives a better feeling, and a feeling of having really worked hard and deserved the podium, you know, in front of people and of course the encouragement is that to get the Sundowns supporters to come in to be part of the party, that also supports that spirit of football where, you know, you create a football atmosphere where there's opposition fans, and because sometimes the reality is if we were to host the game at home, how many Royal AM supporters would come? Not a lot, because maybe they don't have a reason to travel to Pretoria. But Sundowns supporters have a reason to travel to Durban, and Chatsworth is very convenient for the people of Durban. So now you have a possibility of having a very good, fantastic football match on the pitch, but created by a very good ambience feeling around, because the chances of getting more people into the stadium is greater. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but I think as a big club, we are okay with the situation, and yeah.
Coach, just looking at Stevens, they've had a very good season as opposed to the previous one. Having obviously analysed them and watched them this season and playing them again, you know, do you think they can sustain this? Because obviously next season they are going to lose their skipper and Zita is going to Chiefs, and you know, there are other players possibly that could leave. Can Steve Barker sustain this, given the model that they've chosen to promote from the academy and try to build from within that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know whether they can sustain. I can only speak in relation to the background of what has happened the last couple of seasons. They've always been a team that loses a couple of players. They lost the skipper last season. At the beginning of the season, they lost the skipper. They lost, I think, many players. If you the one that went to Cape Town All Stars in the NFT, his name will come to me right now. But they are a team that looks to strengthen by having a very extensive scouting base. They've got a lot of work that they do in that department. I'm privy to understanding some of the work that happens in that space and what they do. They've got a very good technical team, very experienced in Steve Barker, someone that knows how to work with a budget that is not so extensive. I mean, he's done that at Tuks, and how he's gone about producing and helping players like Mthokozisi Yende, Andile Jali. I mean, you can name so many of them that were at Tuks and then went on to bigger clubs, and they were still able to have very good runs in the PSL thereafter. So I don't see a reason why Steve can't be able to maintain the profile of the team. They look like an organization that is well run. They look like they've got very good facilities. I've seen the high performance facility that they have in Stellenbosch. They've got a very good stadium. And administratively, it looks like the club is professionally run. So when you tick those boxes, the most important then is performance, and performance is derived from one, quality of the players, and two, motivation from the organization to be able to achieve certain goals, and I'm sure that is what they have. And then the quality, of course, keeps improving. I mean, you've seen how they've got Otis, who's very strong in the air, very good with the ball behind. You've seen Mendieta and his contribution to the Stellenbosch side. So their recruitment is a recruitment that is extremely extensive and allows them to bring the best type of players, not just from South Africa, but from even other parts in South America in particular. But a very good side. We've analysed their last 3 games. They play either a back 3 or a back 4 with De Goda and Zita's got a very interesting role in the team, a similar role to the role that Robin Johannes had. Mtetwa is very strong for them, very, very important as a destroyer, a six that is predominantly there to break down the counterattacks of the opposition and stop transitions. And Adams is very good in the pockets. He's got speed. He dribbles very well. In fact, Stellenbosch are second in the league for highest number of dribbles. They average 6-7 per game, and they're only second to Morocco Swallows. Swallows have more dribbles, but you can look at the profile of Swallows and you can understand why. But it's very difficult when you see a Van Rooyen and you think maybe no dribbles, but very aggressive and dribbles. Dupree, aggressive dribbles. Mendieta. So they've got possibilities to hurt you in possession. They've got possibilities to even hurt you when you have the ball, because they can counter-attack very effectively. And then they've got different types of attacks. An attack that is generated through build-ups where they can play from the back, and you saw it against Chiefs that even when they played with a back three, they still were able to morph it through a back four and still initiate build-ups. And when they had a back four against Supersport, you saw how easy sometimes it was for them to progress and find the fullbacks. And then from the fullbacks, of course, then depending on how they orientate their front line, they look for Musia Medi sometimes to be able to hurt you from second balls and diagonals from Mark van Heerden's side. So a good side, very competitive, very difficult to play against and very difficult to beat, like many of Steve Barker's sides in the past.
Coach, just two quick ones. With this being match day 29 of the weekend,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the goal scored, you've scored the most in the league, you've conceded the least as well. What is your general sense of how the season has been for Mamelodi Sundowns? Obviously, you know, you've won the title, but then from match day 1 up until 29, what is your general sense? And secondly, coach, just a quick one. I've seen the relationship that you have with local coaches in South Africa. What is your relationship like with Mantla as coach of Pirates? Thank you.
The first one is the question I like. It's a beautiful question because it's football. And the football questions are the ones that, you know, should dominate football discussions. And I think we've had a very good season. We've had a season that we've evolved quite a bit. In fact, maybe to the naked eye, it's not so evident, but if you watch our team from the beginning of the season and how we developed, and not developed in terms of managing games and being able to pull results, but we've developed in a tactical sense where there's a lot more flexibility in our team from a schemes perspective, where we can build up with different ways and build up with fullbacks, build up with central midfielders, build up with center halves, build up with the goalkeeper. Find different ways to build up by bringing the opponents closer or bringing the opponents further away from the box and manipulating in relation to what the opposition does. We'd have different ways, and we've worked on different ways to high press, different ways to maybe sometimes come into zone 2 and be able to find possibilities to deal with the opposition when they are in possession of the ball. We've had different set pieces, and we've been able to score from dead ball situations this season, and we've been extremely threatening on transitions. So the evolution of the team has been fantastic. The work that we've done, and I think maybe only the people at Mamelodi Sundowns understand how difficult it is to do what we have done. To win the 4th title last season and move into a space where we were not satisfied with the results. And then to prepare yourselves to come into the 2nd season under our leadership and get the MTN 8, which is a trophy that has eluded the club for a very, very long time. Secure the league title with 4 or 5 games mathematically to go, but the reality is, you guys were already speaking about it with 10 games to go. I know Mazola on Twitter was already saying, give these people the title, but with 10 games already to go, and that already tells you how hard work, investment, and sacrifice that these players have done. And only the people in the club understand how difficult it is to do what we've done this season. So we can only be happy with what we've achieved and what the squad has done and what the players have done and the support that we've received from the entire club in different departments and the way the club is being driven towards excellence. And that only gives you a very good sense of feeling, because with only 3 games to go until the end of the season, we're speaking about the treble, you know, and how many times has that been done in domestic football? And because it hasn't been done a lot, that reflects the magnitude of the work that has been done by the squad and the football club. So we can only look back with pure admiration, respect, and a deep sense of appreciation for everybody's commitment and contribution towards the success that we've had on the pitch this season. Thank you, Shoes. Thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to spend time with you.